Welcome back, people, to the Upper Tier podcast. Hope you all had a brilliant weekend. This is your Premier League weekend wrap up show where we go back through some of the results and have a chat and try and distinguish between the teams that we call the good, the bad, and the ugly. As always, flying solo tonight on this show. It's a little sort of solo show that I do on the Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube. Head over there, of course, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. As always, if you're viewing any of the videos over there, give them a big thumbs up, drop that like on them. We appreciate that all the time. Let's get started with this Premier League action. Lunchtime yesterday, Liverpool 2, Burnley 0. Goals from Jota and Mane. Sublime goals. One from Tsimikas in, cross in from the left onto Jota's head. Absolute perfect pass. Perfect cross in for him to finish that. Mane with a brilliant goal, unbelievable build up from Virgil out to Harvey Elliott into Trent and across the little flick around the defender. Mane with a sublime finish. Interesting one, this, of course. Hendo was incredible. There was a lot of emotion behind it. The 97 mosaic. Obviously, fans being back, Jota experiencing that for the first time, really. Obviously, Thiago experiencing it for the first time as well. But absolutely brilliant. Liverpool with a fantastic start to the season, laying down a marker, 2 clean sheets, 6 points. We're top of the league. What more could you ask for, really? Absolutely going to be title contenders this year. The calmness that's back in the side, the brilliance that's back in the side, and it's only going to get better and better week on week. Let's move on from that. Aston Villa 2, Newcastle 0. Ings and El Ghazi. If you didn't see Ings' goal, absolutely bicycle, beautiful goal. Unbelievable from Danny Ings. The one thing I would say, serious problems there for Newcastle at the moment. Bruce already under a lot of pressure there. Hard to see how they're going to climb out of that. There was a couple of harsh decisions in there. I think it was a harsh penalty, you know what I mean? Like, it was point blank at your man's arm, even though it wasn't in a natural position, but still, I mean, when you're that close, you know. Villa Park, of course, with fans back, it was absolutely rocking. We'll be talking about this on a number of grounds that we spoke about in a number of episodes on the Monday Mashup. The lads have alluded to the fact that with fans being back, these grounds are very different prospects for a team to travel to. Palace and Brentford 0-0. Brentford, laying down a marker, obviously beating Arsenal the week before on the Friday, the first fixture that kicked off the season. But they travelled to Crystal Palace and got a good away point. I think there were value for that. I think Palace could have potentially shaded it. But again, kind of 0-0. These are two teams. Brentford, I think it will be okay. I think they will pick up a number of points on their home ground, that new beautiful stadium they have there. The fans are unbelievable. But I think they have a manager who's very realistic and he's very grounded. I like him, what I've seen so far. Palace, kind of stuttering under Patrick Vieira and stuff like that. This could be a very difficult season for Palace. But it remains to be seen how that's going to pan out. One of the games of the weekend that we highlighted on the preview would have been Leeds versus Everton. Finished the 2-2 draw. Really didn't tell the story of the game. Everton really, Calvert-Lewin had a number of chances on this, and in fairness, Leeds probably, or Everton, should have been out of sight really nearly by half time in this game. But for some real good goalkeeping from Meslier. But yeah, again, you're talking about another ground, Ellen Road, absolutely rocking with the fans. Great to have fans back. The atmospheres are unbelievable, but a bullet of a goal from Rafinha brought them back into it. But Everton really should have been outside. I thought Dallas was very poor for Demarai Gray's goal. Got kind of nutmegged really with the ball. But yeah, poor. But I suppose, Leeds, after the drubbing that they got the week before at Man United, probably would have settled for a point. Everton probably will go away the more disappointed side and only getting a draw. Let's move on. Man City versus Norwich 5-0. Obviously, an OG from Krul. Grealish got his goal. Interesting goal. You're celebrating it. Just basically lashed in off him, really. Laporte, Sterling, Mahrez. The Norwich defending was absolutely shocking in this, you know what I mean? And I know that, like, you're talking different levels here. You're talking about the champions versus the promoted side. But this is going to be a very long season for Daniel Farke and for Norwich this season. It's just going to be an absolute struggle for them. When you do sell off your prized assets and you don't really replace them and reinvest that money, you're going to have serious problems in this league. And even City, who up till now had been a little bit goal shy in the last 3 or 4 outings, suddenly turned on the screws yesterday, and it's 5-0, and they absolutely battered Norwich, and it could have been more. So definitely Norwich would be one to look out for. They're going to have a real difficult long season down the bottom of the league. Brighton versus Watford, 2-0 to Brighton. Duffy with a header in off the crossbar, and Maupay with an absolutely beautiful finish. Can't say enough good things about Graham Potter. Sporting an absolutely awesome beard at the moment as well. But Graham Potter is a manager that I really admire. He plays Brighton in a style of football that's really outstanding for the club. It's beautiful to watch. It's attacking football. It's flowing. He has Basuma there, who's absolutely outstanding. Maupay, absolutely outstanding. Some really good players there. He plays a real good brand of football, and he's one of those guys that I really like to see do really, really well. You know, I've always liked the way Brighton play, and when I see teams that play like that, I always wish them success and want them to do well, except, of course, if they're playing my own Liverpool. But yeah, brilliant stuff there from Brighton. Let's move on to Sunday. St. Mary's, where do we begin? Southampton 1, Man United 1. This was absolutely shocking from United. I mean, if you're talking about Jekyll and Hyde compared to the Leeds game last week, we gave United all the plaudits last week. Absolutely brilliant play. Pogba was sublime. Bruno was sublime. Harry Maguire was sublime. Lindelof was unbelievable. But here you rock up to St. Mary's, and I don't know whether it's a sense of an arrogance or an entitlement or whatever it is. Bruno goes missing. Pogba had a couple of flashes of brilliance, but again, Martial up front. I don't even know how Martial is still there. He's certainly not like a striker that you want there in terms of a team that's pushing to win a title. I just don't think he's good enough. I think his whole demeanor, I think his body language, I think his facials, everything. I think he just looks like a guy who's disinterested and switched off. I don't know what the deal is with Solskjaer in terms of Donny van de Beek. They were crying out for an attacking midfielder to come on and absolutely change up the game. And he brings on Jesse Lingard, I think, who's only back from about a COVID, so clearly wouldn't be fit. Plus, you're bringing on a guy who you've made it very clear that you don't really want at the club anymore. He's kind of surplus to requirements. Had an outstanding half a season last year with West Ham. Part of the reason that West Ham got into Europe, really, you know what I mean? And then you bring him on. But yeah, Van de Beek can't get any minutes. You know, Sancho, Varane, these are all the players again. The Sancho one is kind of a weird one for me because it looks like he's trying to crowbar Sancho somewhere into the team and figure out what he's about. But like, you've been chasing this guy for 2 years, so you obviously had a plan for him in terms of the team and stuff like that. Then you finally land the player, and people are kind of not sure what to do, and it's just kind of weird, like, you know what I mean? I just don't get it. And that's a really poor result for United today, because I think if you look at the top 3 or 4 rivals, excuse me, if you look at the top 3 or 4 rivals there chasing the league, the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, it's highly unlikely they're going to go down to Southampton, who are going to struggle. I mean, they've sold off some great players as well, so they're going to struggle this year. And I think Liverpool going down there, I think Chelsea and I think Man City will go down there. They'll both pick up 4 points down there, and I think that knocks Man United back a little bit. And then they've got Wolves up next, so they need a big result against Wolves, which again I would expect them to bounce back and get. We've seen this a number of times with United, where they go up against these lesser teams, and suddenly the naivety of Solskjaer kicks in, or the arrogance of it, or whatever it is, and they just can't get the job done. And that's really what cost them in terms of like title runs and stuff like that and all, you know. Wolves versus Tottenham. Tottenham winning 1-0. Dele Alli Penno. Decent win for Tottenham, but again, you know, obviously with Nuno going back to Wolves, it was obviously going to be difficult. It wasn't going to be easy. Wolves created a few chances, but I think Spurs are after having a really good start to the season now. Seems to have them really organised at the back, which is where most of their problems stemmed from. We know how good they are as an attacking force, Tottenham, but those problems that they had at the back with not having to settle back forward and chopping and changing all the time, trying to figure out which is the best setup for them and stuff like that. Nuno seems to have an understanding there now of what he wants, and he seems to have turn things around there in terms of the 6 weeks that he's had with the players and stuff like that. So we know he's an outstanding coach. There's no doubt about it and stuff like that. But again, the whole Harry Kane thing lingers and stuff like that. And does that impinge on what Nuno wants to do in terms of putting his stamp on the team? So again, for Wolves, I think Wolves are going to struggle this year. I think they've lost too many players and they haven't replaced them. and I could see them losing more players before the end of the window. Before we get on to the final game of the weekend, just to let you know, we'll be covering the Champions League draw on the upper tier live on Thursday. And we'll be also covering deadline day, where we're doing a special live YouTube where we'll be covering the last 2 hours of the deadline day window. And we will be going back through all the transfers that have happened in the whole month. Or the whole transfer window. So we're looking forward to going through that. Probably going through that with Dean. He'll be back at that stage. Let's move on to what was probably the biggest tie of the weekend: Arsenal versus Chelsea. Arsenal 0, Chelsea 2, Lukaku and Reece James. You know, it's what we expect from Chelsea now. You know, Lukaku, after going in there, he's off to the races in terms of scoring and stuff like that. There was never going to be any doubt about that in terms of Romelu Lukaku. He's an absolute goal machine and a monster of a man. Reece James chiming in with a goal as well. Nice for the young lad. He's doing really, really well as well. But I suppose the story coming out of this is not so much Chelsea staying in the title race and stuff like that, even though we're only 2 games in. There's no doubt they're going to be there and challenging for the title this year with the squad they've assembled. Absolutely outstanding from top to bottom. There's not a weak link in it. But the story really is Arsenal, isn't it? And the fall that Arsenal have had from grace year on year. Arteta looks like a broken man. The squad looks void of any sort of quality at all, any sort of confidence. There's nothing really there. 2-0 didn't really tell the story of the game. Again, expecting the youth to lead the line and actually put up the challenge and stuff like that. And again, you see today the gulf in the quality between the likes of a Chelsea and an Arsenal is unbelievable, you know what I mean? And now Arsenal are facing into their 3rd game now against Man City. Can't see them getting a whole lot out of that either. And you're looking at a potential situation. And we spoke about this a few weeks ago, that Arsenal could potentially exit August into the international break with 0 points in the Premier League. And we mentioned this last year as well, that when they get down into the bottom half and stuff like that, it's whether they're going to have the heart and the soul and the fight to climb back up the table. And this year could be pivotal for them. And I think Arteta's done everything he could do there. I don't know why they're sticking with him if there's managers out there, the likes of Conte and stuff like that. Arsenal need to be a force back in English football again and in European football. And if they want to do that, they're going to have to spend money on a top quality manager. And they're also going to have to give him the funds to fix the problems that are there at the moment. I know that Arsenal have spent money. There's no doubt about it. But look at what they're spending money on. They're settling for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th options in terms of what they're bringing in. And as a Liverpool fan, I fully understand that, because we did it for years. You know, we absolutely spent a lot of money and we bought in absolute junk at times. So big changes ahead for Arsenal. They're going to struggle this year big time. And if they don't get their act together very quickly, they're going to find themselves in the bottom half of the table most of the season. And their history and their legacy of being a traditional top 4, top 6 club is going to evaporate really, really quick. As always, appreciate you if you can hop over to the Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube. Really hope that you can drop us a like and a share and hit that bell notification and subscription, everything else. If you're looking for audio versions of the show, you'll find them on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you pick up audio versions of the show, you will find us there. If you want to contact the show, of course, you can drop your comments down into the video here, or you can hit us up on Twitter at @the_upper_tier, or you'll get us on the upper tier on Facebook and on Instagram. We will be back again next week for game week 3 when we do our analysis in our show that we call The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Till next time, appreciate you viewing the videos. Cheers.